Hello, Liceo Marco Polo. This is Shrouq Aila, a journalist from Gaza, and this is Gaza. My book, the book that you are going to read today, They Killed Habibi. Habibi is my partner, my beloved one, the journalist Rushdie Sarraj, who got killed in the very beginning of the genocide. The book talks about my journey during the genocide, how to work as a journalist, how to be as a mom, because I have a baby. She's 3 years old now, and you will be a little bit more close to what it feels like to be under genocide. Even though sometimes when you try your best to describe it, it fails apart. Words fail apart to describe the reality on the ground. But I've just tried to speak up what I felt inside. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you're gonna read such tragedy, because no one ever deserves to live a tragedy or to read about it. So if you have any questions, you want anything, you can find me, you can reach me easily, and I really send you my hugs and kisses from Gaza. For the first question, that has writing been the index of a possible freedom? Yes. Because no borders of writing, no limits, and you feel sometimes that you can reach everyone. In a time that we are feeling trapped, borders are controlled and closed, we cannot physically leave Gaza. Sometimes it feels so close that writing is crossing everywhere. So yeah, it's a sense. I felt it actually, that I felt the sense of being free. For question number two, you say that sharing fear diminishes. Have you shared? Yes, during the genocide, feeling fear, feeling afraid, feeling horrible is so common. So those are common sense that everyone is like everyone is feeling it everywhere, and sometimes it feels good, like you are not the only one who's afraid, that there are many people who are sharing this with you, which is a very human act to be afraid. Fears is such a very decent human sense, and during the genocide it was really, let me say it was really softened sometimes, that you are not alone in this. Everyone is afraid, everyone is showered with fears, so it happens. And it doesn't actually reflect that you have a weak personality, so you are holding that kind of fears inside, etc. Never. It's all about that what is happening is just bigger than all of us. And the most important thing, that we are not superheroes, so we are afraid of being targeted at any moment, holding the fear of losing more family members, or losing their ones, losing your home. All the time, there is always all the time that kind of fear. And also the fear of not having food at the market, for example, which is so human to have such feeling and to share it with others. For question number three, is the habit of fear a better way to deal with the grief? Fear is not a habit. That's something that we let me say, acquired because of a human-made people, and that this is something that is not a habit. That is not a thing that you are doing in a regular base. It depends on the current situation, when like rockets were falling relentlessly everywhere, so the fear was everywhere. And feeling afraid or holding fears sometimes adds extra grief to your actual grief. That is because I know it. I had a partner, and this is and we before we left some like previous wars in Gaza, and I really know what does it mean to share fear with others. So when I had my partner and I used to share fear and to talk about it, to talk how I'm so afraid to go to the bathroom at this moment because of having many airstrikes around. So just to speak about it, to feel there's someone who's listening and sharing this with you. I felt like fear after losing my husband. Actually, fear was something extra that to add to my grief, because my partner is not with me. I cannot share that's kind of fear and thoughts, and silly thoughts actually, when it comes to being afraid, not going to drink water because you are afraid, blah blah blah, afraid of all of the worst scenarios that you are creating in your mind. So never. Fear makes grief and sorrow way worse. What does home mean to me? Home, first of all, is people. Then it's the location or the place. So in my case, I used to call my husband, I used to call him my best friend, because he's was so close to me. I used to call him home. So in the first place, home is where my husband is, and I felt home after his, like, when he left. I felt that home is her grave, where his body lies. But recently, in the past few months, his grave have been decreased up earth by the Israeli soldiers, and there is nobody any longer. Home is where's my beloved ones, and then where the place, because the place doesn't make sense, doesn't hold senses if you are not sharing or walking or creating memories with people inside the places. Is there a practical reason, a particular reason why you become a journalist? I'm a journalist for over 10 years, and I remember that was at that period, to 2014, a war in Gaza, and I found that I have the English language to speak about our situation during that war. That war, we thought at that time that there is the worst ever. We never imagined that there is another chapter, another layer of tragedy. Anyways, so at that period, I felt that I have the skills to address people, speak up, spread awareness about our cause, about Palestine, about Gaza, about the siege in Gaza, the wars in Gaza, etc. You wrote from within the war. How difficult it is to transfer such a traumatic experience into words. To be frank, it was heavy to recall all the memories together on one set. And sometimes I felt it like writing at that period was a very comfortable thing, that was my comfort zone, to express my feelings, those feelings, the negative feelings that I'm suppressing inside, because I had no time to grieve my husband, to grieve everything that is happening around. So writing at that period was very tough, difficult to recall all of these things together, but also was, let me say, a step forward in healing. So writing is a way to heal, to proceed the pain. You will never proceed a pain ever, especially when it comes to such lifetime scars of losing dear ones or home, whatever. But writing it down helps actually in navigating life after this. And for question number 7, after the declaration of the ceasefire, what I've noticed on the ground here, if anything changed. For the food situation, it is improved. Yes, we have food now at the market. It's not affordable because most of the people here lost their source of income and they are totally broken. The genocide consumed all of us. For the genocide and aftermath, we can move freely from north to south, and there are still many areas and cities that are still under the Israeli military invasion and under the Israeli control. We cannot arrive it. It's still dangerous, and we are still having explosions from time to time, attacks, I mean. But famine is no longer here, in terms of travel, the borders were opened partially in the previous days, so for the medical evacuations, which is a good sign, but not enough actually, because there are thousands of people who are in desperate need to evacuate Gaza for their medical treatment. Say hello. Mama. Any daily habit that I'm missing? I miss my mornings. I failed to create good mornings since the beginning of genocide, since the loss of my husband. I lost my husband in the very beginning, in the second week of the genocide. So mornings are not mornings, the actual mornings that I used to have. I used to cherish morning, to wake up, having my husband, drinking coffee together. That was the entire world for me. But now everything feels incomplete. For question number 9, in the book you emphasize many times how your safe place, your home, the refugee you built with tragedy, was taken away from you. As for today, have you managed to rebuild a sense of belonging? No, never. First of all, rebuilding or reconstruction items are still blocked to enter Gaza. There are still restrictions on the aid entering Gaza. Still, we are having limitations, and even for the aid trucks that entering, they are still limited and not actually meeting the ocean of needs here. But there is no sign of rebuilding. We are talking about a totally collapsed building and a collapsed infrastructure. Rebuilding is not about putting a concrete above a concrete. Never. It's also about, first of all, we have to rebuild ourselves, because we have been, let me say, destroyed, like mentally, during the genocide. So there are many things we have to do these days, actually, to rebuild ourselves first, and this is, let me say, cannot happen in this period because we are still trapped. We are still having restrictions over the aid and food entering, and also we are having restrictions of the items and winterization stuff entering Gaza. The health situation is catastrophic. Hospitals are overcrowded with patients and injured without a proper medical intervention for them, and the broken sanitation. There is no electricity since the first week of the genocide till this moment. We don't have electricity, a regular electricity. What we are having is just solar panels, those who got lucky to have solar panel systems, and the generators that are running on a fuel, and this is just very few and very consuming. So still, like, we are somehow stuck in the middle, half peace, half war. All of us are afraid of this ceasefire to be a fragile one. We are still living this uncertainty and are afraid of returning to zero, because we know what does it mean to live in the zero. And hundreds of people are still living in makeshift tents. Those tents never protect these people from the harsh weather, from the burning sun, or from the heavy winter, the storms, etc. So the situation on the ground is still catastrophic, and there is no way to get used to this, and there is no way to fix it, because there is not a thing that happened in a very small, like, let me say, not a thing that happened for a very few number of people. Like, we are talking about the entire population of the Gaza Strip, which is more than 2 million people. I don't want to spread negative vibes, but this is the situation. For the question number 10, is there a story you wanted to tell but you were prevented from doing this? No, actually, I've never freaked out of doing anything. Like, I'm always happy to be a voice for the voiceless, to spread awareness, to speak up all the time. No, never. There's nothing actually that I'm afraid to share. From the start of the war until now, how have relationships between people changed? This is a thing that you cannot generalize. There are people who are really broken, financially broken, living in streets, and they are mentally broken, and I can totally understand that the levels of anger and tense between people have been increased. This is really common because we are living on nothing, with shortage and lack of everything, and this actually have a very bad impact on our mental health and the psychological aspect, and this is for sure has its impact on the relationship with people. And I can tell you from my own experience, I don't feel like I have good relation any longer with people. I mean, like, I'm lacking the way of communicate with others. I hate family gatherings. I used to be a talkative person, but after what happened, I'm no longer having that funny, child-friendly chats, and I avoid like being with others, and I prefer my time at work and being alone or with my daughter. So this is basically the consequences of living for 2 years under genocide, and this is really common, and it really happens, and this is a human act and react over what happened. So yeah, the relations of the people, many relations get very tight. Like, I feel it with my siblings. It became more tight, and we are sharing everything together, but also I'm not having the good energy to be a communicative person with others. Did you find the strength to write the book? A friend of mine told me, like, Shrouq, you have to document this for your daughter, because during this, you will be more close, and you will be having lots of senses and situations that you want to talk, and you will forget it later on by time. And yeah, it happens actually sometimes when I'm reading the book, like, I'm reading something that I wrote, and I was, when that happened, I'm forgetting. And this has really happened because of the sequences of famine, the consequences of the trauma we are enduring. So that was a very good advice, and I'm so honored that I took this advice into consideration, because like writing about something, during it you will have the energy and the power to talk everything, like to write down everything you are having inside. But later on, when you are feeling comfortable and this period has been passed and the chapter is closed, etc., you will not be that person actually while you left it. So and also for my daughter, for my friend also told me, like, this will be documented for your daughter. She will know how you experienced the loss of her father, and how I experienced the famine during my breastfeeding, and this will be history. So those are actually the most important motives for me. The last question: how can you recount what is happening without losing your humanity and that of the people involved? Well, we are not losing any humanity when we are talking about our stories. We are talking about reality, and we are talking about the inhumanity of the other side of the occupation of the Israeli army, because those people who are committing such crimes on civilians, on children, on women, and elderly, etc. So the situation that we are featuring what the inhuman people committed towards the civilians, and documenting our stories is not a thing to be ashamed of. We did not create this, and we are not the reason of living such misery. But also, it's a shame to stay silent, to not use your skills, your connections to speak up and spread awareness of word, like, everywhere. That's it. Sorry for taking so long. I'm so honored actually to talk with you, and I'm happy that you are giving me your time. I'm sending you hugs and love from Gaza, and hope very soon we will meet in person. This is a heart. Bye.